Coach, Brewers assistant Tim Skipper will be the interim coach the rest of the season. The Dodgers beat San Francisco 10-2. They lead San Diego by 2.5 in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
KBLA Talk 1580. We're trying to keep you out the Heartbreak Hotel, along with the American Heart Association. It's interesting. We hear about this association and that association, but it kind of many times goes in one ear and out the other, or we think, oh, that's a nice cause. Maybe I'll give them $1 or go check out their website. But I don't think we really think of it in human terms. That is what we hope to get to this morning, because, these kinds of issues impact our community many times more than others, and there are things we can do to help. So I want to welcome into the conversation Andre Moore. Good morning, Mr. Moore.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed. How are you doing?
Absolutely fine, thank you.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Very, very glad to hear that. And I believe your wife, Roberta, is also on the phone.
Actually, my daughter, Andrea,
Oh, your daughter.
is
Okay.
on the other
Oh,
line. Yeah.
Andrea and Andrea. Okay. Love it.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrea. So, I guess let's go to the basics. You, from what I understand, you were out to dinner. It's quite some time ago when you started. Something happened. Tell us the story of what happened, Andre.
Yeah, correct. We we had we had gone to dinner with some friends, and after dinner we decided to go to the theater. And while we were in the theater, I started to sweat real bad. I got real sweaty and extremely uncomfortable. And after that, I knew something was terribly, terribly wrong because I had never experienced that before in my life. And of course, then I got the shortness of breath, and I was pretty sure I was going to be a goner, to be quite honest with you.
Wow, it was that intense right away. You felt like it's over.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty intense. I did the symptoms. I had all the symptoms. I did not have one symptom I did not have. But there's that you hear a lot of people say like someone's sitting on my chest. That I did not have. Now my dad had a heart attack, and I remember him saying that. It felt like someone was sitting on his chest. I didn't have that, but what I did have was the inability that I just could not catch a breath. No matter how hard you struggle, you just cannot catch a breath. And it just got worse and worse, and I thought, well, this is it. I said a little prayer. I said, Lord, if this is my time, okay. I'll just I'm okay with that if it's my time. But if it's not my time, I will fight.
But I mean, when this happened to you, did you know what was going on, or you just thought this is something scary happening? I don't know what it is, but I might not make it through. Or did you say I'm having a heart attack? Like it sounds like
I don't think I ever said I'm having a heart attack. I don't think I ever thought that. It's funny you asked that question. No, I did not. To answer your question, I did not. I knew something was wrong, but it never occurred to me. I mean, at the time I was, I don't know what, 40, in my 40s. So, yeah.
I mean, the reason I ask is because I just think a lot of times we think this stuff will never happen to us. So, maybe
That's
we
right.
think we have indigestion or, something. Andrea, I read that you were at home, still living at home, and you were saying, why aren't my parents home yet?
Yeah, exactly. It was an evening. I knew they were going out with friends for dinner and a movie. Kind of, fell asleep and woke up early morning hours, and they weren't home. And so, my mind went to worst case scenario. And so I'm waking up, and now I'm wondering what's going on, and just finding out later on what happened. Of course, was scared to death. Immediately went to the hospital that day, and we were just having conversation with the doctors and basically trying to figure out what happened. And I think to your point, it was scary in that it wasn't like, okay, we know what's going on. It was a heart attack. We know what the doctors are looking for at this point, so we're just waiting for word back. What are next steps, diagnosis? Since that time, we have a lot more information under our belt and understand what happens during those scenarios, what the symptoms are, what the doctors are looking for if there's an episode.
Absolutely.
And so but that morning, like you said, it was just frightening. It was just completely
it sounds
scared,
terrifying.
Just terrible. Yeah.
And we'll get into, because if you don't mind, I want to share what some of those things are, but we're being joined now by graduate of UCLA. She's got her Doctor of Medicine there, Executive MPH in Healthcare Management and Policy and Global Healthcare Certificate, Family Medicine Residency at USC, a real Southern California doc, Dr. Carolyn Kaloostian. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Now, when you hear this story, I mean, Andre Moore's story and his daughter, I'm thinking this isn't unusual for you. It doesn't sound, sadly, doesn't sound unusual.
It's not, and if I may express how I felt when I heard that, how powerful it was. The reason I joined the board at the American Heart Association is my mother died at home, collapsed of a heart attack. She was alone. But then more recently, my father-in-law, similar, had that same feeling, collapsed next to me. And no one's ready, not even doctors who are trained in CPR and healthcare are ready to help your father-in-law who collapsed from a heart attack. So
This happened to your own mom.
My mom passed away, and I was told after the fact. I wasn't home. But with my father-in-law more recently, he collapsed next to me at home. And so I just want to, number one, mention the fact that this is happening predominantly at home, which is why, we have all the doctors and nurses at the health centers, and at home is where this is happening to our loved ones. So one of the initiatives I have, it's called Nation of Lifesavers with the American Heart Association, is I want one person in every household to not only know what CPR is, but be trained in effective CPR. And we've been working on that. We've trained 1 million. We have more to go. Now, the issue is really doing effective CPR, where you push on the chest firmly and not sort of get scared in the moment and really engage yourself instead of waiting for 911 to come to really do effective CPR. So I got into this because when I heard his incredible story, I time traveled to when my father-in-law was on my ground and I had to do CPR because he had that same, I couldn't breathe, he didn't know what it was. And it's just interesting, you had brought up that no one thinks it could be a heart attack, even when you're having one, let alone if you're having precursors to it, right? Like a little bit of chest pain, maybe some jaw stiffness. Some women have tingling in their arms and that's it. Shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting. The last thing we think is heart disease. And I hope from today, just our conversation, whoever's listening and in the future listens to this, takes away that think it's your heart first, in the sense of see your doctor, get your heart checked out, know your numbers, know your blood pressure, and then think everything else. Okay, maybe it's not that because the blood pressure is normal. I'm not short of breath with the symptoms I'm having. I've contacted my doctor. My doctor has checked out my heart, has told me my heart is as safe as it can be. So, okay, maybe it is X, Y, or Z. I hope that that's something that changes today.
I mean, because with a heart attack or stroke, if you catch it early, it's all the difference in the world. So what you're saying makes sense from the standpoint of harm reduction, right? If you start with thinking, maybe I'm having a heart attack or stroke, and you do whatever you need to do, CPR, prevention, whatever you can do, it's better than, because if it's something else, it's probably less urgent.
Absolutely, right? The critical organs are brain and our heart. And without those, we're in trouble. So absolutely, if you have chest pain or have been having chest pains, please see your doctor. Check your blood pressure that day at home. That's another thing I hope to express today is the importance of having a blood pressure machine at home.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? I've never even heard of that, Doc.
Everybody needs one. And I honestly, on the drive over, I was like, mine is in the center of my dinner table. Because that's where we meet. We meet for dinner. Wherever we're doing, we end up meeting to eat. Right. Maybe that's too much to ask of the community.
Well, you're a doctor, so.
You would think that, but really it's having the two near and dear people in my life have heart attacks that I'm like, blood pressure is so important. And then the other thing, so maybe in the family room to have a blood pressure machine so that you can check it once a week, especially if you live with your parents or grandparents, right? A lot of us, there's 6 people in my household. It's not just me and the kids, right? We have the in-laws, grandparents. It's very important that that we know where we all stand with our numbers. And the other thing about these machines, there's validated ones by the American Heart Association you can check on. They're affordable, and they actually, unfortunately, after 2 years, need to be calibrated again. So if you have one that's dusty from like 3 years ago, probably not the one to bank on. We want to make sure you have a new one that will work and that we all know our numbers. And if not, if you feel like you don't want that at home, I strongly urge all of us families to have that, because it's super important. We're setting up some community events where we can do lots of screening. So the Heart Walk that's coming up this weekend, Saturday, at the Rose Bowl, free to register. We're doing blood pressure screenings. I'll be there chairing it, but also manning that station to give any advice if you're having like borderline or what's right, what's wrong, is this good, is this not? And we, year after year, have a couple of people who come in and their blood pressures are very, very high, and we actually send them to get a checkup that same day. So
okay, well, we're going to get more into that, because most of us don't even know what those numbers mean. As long as the doctor doesn't freak out when they take our blood pressure, we're good. And I want to hear more about Andre's story and the changes that you've made to your life. Obviously, you made it through, because you're here talking to me on the radio, so that's a great thing, and so you must be doing something right. We'll look at that and more, and you're invited. And by the way, if you have a question for the doctor or for Andre or Andrea, you're welcome into it, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-260-3330. That's 800-260-3330. Find out if you qualify today, 800-260-3330, or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I love that Dr. Carolyn Kaloostian is very, very passionate about this, which is great because, I guess that's how you process your own personal pain. It's terrible, terrible losing your mama. Your father-in-law, you said off the air, survived.
Yes.
And you were doing the CPR on him. Want to talk more about that. Andre, obviously you survived. This has been some 25 years since you had this incident, right?
Right.
And did you change everything in your life, or were you more of a typical man, scofflaw? I'm gonna do what I want. I'm good. I'm going back from the hospital and having a triple bacon burger.
Oh no! It was a complete turnaround. I was a lot younger then, and I think a lot of people are not faced with their mortality. And once you're faced with your mortality, you think about life differently. So in my case, I did reverse things. I started eating better, exercising. I lost a lot of weight, lots of weight, and absolutely.
Were you a smoker? Is that what I read?
I wasn't. I didn't smoke cigarettes, but I did smoke a pipe, and I did smoke cigars.
Did you have to give that up also?
It's a lot different than a cigarette smoker, but yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I know cigars you don't inhale, but yeah.
Yeah.
So you cut out all that. Andrea, were you shocked and surprised?
I was pleasantly shocked and surprised, but also please know that myself, my mom, my niece, my sister, there was no way he was going back to the way it was before. He had a small army behind him that wasn't going to let him go back to his old habits. But it took a lot of courage and discipline on my dad's part, and it was amazing. It was an amazing turnaround. But again, we learned so much, and that prepared us for something that happened, 20 years later. And I'll let Dad go into that 20 years later part.
Well, with that set up, I think we have to go right there, Andre. What happened 20 years later?
Well, I guess the issue for me is you can become complacent. You get into a habit, a routine, you can become complacent. And I felt very good, but I had an event where I was actually on the treadmill working out, and I got off the treadmill and basically passed out and my heart stopped. And if it hadn't been for my wife performing CPR on me, I don't know where we'd be today. But
wow,
she got in there and worked on me till the paramedics arrived, and they got me going again. But my doctor told me that this was the habit that didn't do well or didn't develop very well, and that is drinking lots of water and staying hydrated. My doctor told me, he says, "Hey, man, you were extremely dehydrated, and he said your battery went dead on you." It's what happened.
But the other thing I read, which I thought was key, and I'm pretty sure the doctor will co-sign this, is that you've been feeling that crappy again for a few months, and you were kind of just ignoring it or not saying anything about it.
Well, I don't know that I was feeling. I don't recall feeling bad. No, I actually not really. No, because I was working out on the treadmill and doing things. I wouldn't say I was feeling particularly bad. I probably had gained a few pounds that I didn't need. Not way over, but I had gained a few pounds, no doubt about it.
But and then in response to that, you had a bypass. Is that correct?
Well, actually, I had the bypass before that, long before that. I think I was in my late 60s, and I did have bypass surgery. Yeah, I sure did.
Okay, so that was before the treadmill incident.
Yes, long before. Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost like every experience. Check that box. We've been there. But and my dad, I think I call him up every now and then and come over to the house. I'm like, hey, we want you to talk about it again. He's like, again? But it's key because so many people need the kind of experiences and well, let me rephrase that. So many people need the education that we've received without getting the specific experience. And if we can somehow, work with the American Heart Association to educate folks on what my dad has experienced and how loved ones can help in a moment, and how dehydration is very, very dangerous. Just to share everything. He gets annoyed with me, but I love him so much for sharing.
Well, the dehydration thing, I'm always saying drink your water, but I didn't know it could bring on a heart attack. That's a new one.
I didn't actually have a heart attack, but I had cardiac arrest, no doubt.
Doctor, what's the difference between a heart attack and cardiac arrest? I always thought those were synonyms.
They're not the same, yeah. So a heart attack would be when the blood supply at that moment is not enough to supply the cardiac muscle and the pump to work. And so that's like an event. So when there's a blockage in the artery that's supplying the muscle to do its job. And that could happen from, a sort of clot that blocks it immediately. We see that a lot with smokers, or over years of just lifestyle and weight gain and high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Over the years, they could the arteries can slowly close, and then you have multiple sort of narrowings of the blood supply to the heart. And so if it just one of them closes, that could be a heart attack. But cardiac arrest is basically when the heart pump stops, and that could be from a variety of reasons. It could be from a heart attack, but it also could be from an arrhythmia. There could be a pause. There could be electrolyte disturbance. There could be a pathology with the actual heart muscle. But far and away, we do see heart disease, meaning coronary, like the arterial disease that we mentioned with heart attacks, being a precursor to cardiac arrest. That's why a lot of us think they're the same, but they're not exactly the same. One a lot of times causes the other, but you could have the other. If people remember some of the great football players we see that have collapsed with a cardiac arrest on the football field, that's not from a heart attack. That's from, for instance, the pressure on the heart being in a certain way. So there's a lot of different causes to the heart pump stopping. Predominantly, though, we see in our population it being the coronary disease,
Okay, well, we only have 30 seconds till news, traffic, and sports. We'll keep this going on the other side. But I know that the techniques for, CPR. Resuscitation, CPR, have changed over the years, and probably what they taught me when I was in school, which I don't even remember, is not applicable anymore. So I want to talk about that, how you would learn. It sounds like definitely Andre's wife learned, and thank goodness she did.
She did effective CPR, not just any CPR, effective, life-saving CPR. She's a hero in my book.
So all of us want to have the ability to be that hero. There's nothing worse than watching your loved ones suffer and you stand by helplessly. I'm going to talk about that and more, and the walk that's coming up. All that is straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited Israel to discuss the war in Gaza and reaffirm U.S. support for Israeli security.
How do you provide security? How do you make sure Hamas or anything like it never comes back again? That's the president's priority. That's always been his priority.
His visit follows Israeli strikes on Hamas leaders in Qatar, an attack President Trump is very unhappy with and said could derail hostage talks. A new viral video shows a pregnant black DoorDash driver who says she was unfairly deactivated after a false customer claim. The delivery was to a clinic in an undisclosed location, and she says she's now struggling financially. And civil rights icons Ruby Bridges, Dr. Bernice King, and Dr. Ilyasa Shabazz walked the runway for Actively Black at New York Fashion Week. The show honored their legacies and those of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X with powerful imagery and a call to keep fighting for justice. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Do you really know what's in your tap water? LifeSource believes your water should support your health, not work against it. Upgrade your water with a LifeSource Whole House Water System during September's Double Dip promo. Call 800-WATER-99 or visit LifeSourceWater.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Impressive victory for the Rams Sunday at Tennessee. The Rams improved to 2-0 with a dominant 33-19 win. 5 sacks for the Rams defense. Quarterback Matthew Stafford had a strong day with 298 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. The Chargers are in Vegas tonight to take on the Raiders. 7 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. The UCLA administration has seen enough. After only 15 games as UCLA's head coach, Deshaun Foster was fired Sunday morning after the Bruins' 0-3 start this season. The 35-10 loss at home to New Mexico Friday night was the last straw for the administration. New Mexico was picked to finish 11th in the Mountain West Conference. Foster was 5-10 in his short role as head coach. Bruins assistant Tim Skipper will be the interim coach the rest of the season. The Dodgers beat San Francisco 10-2. They lead San Diego by 2.5 in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, we're for everybody, and that means you. 800-920-1580. If you want to talk, if you've got some questions, Dr. Carolyn Kaloostian is here with us. We're also joined by Andre Moore and Andrea Moore his daughter on the phone, sharing his experience going through this personally. Dr. Kaloostian, I didn't realize it was such a personal experience for you as well with you losing your mom's life. And you said she was a doctor.
She was a family doctor at Kaiser Sunset. Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because you would think a doctor would really know, but you said women's symptoms are so different than men's that you might not even know.
Absolutely. Not even a doctor would know. And let me give an example. So most men, not all, but most men will have some sort of chest discomfort, chest pressure, chest tightness, difficulty breathing, and they may or may not think it's a heart attack, but those are absolutely signs of heart disease and heart attack. But women don't. Maybe 1 in a million will ever have chest discomfort or chest pain. I don't think I've ever seen a woman with chest pain, even when they had a horrible pneumonia in the chest, like a lung infection or I don't know why, but women do not have that nearly as much as men do. But what women do have, and my mom had, was indigestion. You blame it on the food. Something, I remember my mom, one of our last conversations, because I saw she wasn't feeling well. She was taking nausea medication. I'm like, that's not normal. Go see your doctor, Mom. You know, I was still studying to be a doctor. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not going back to that place. So that's another thing.
Even though she's a doctor.
Yeah, well, she clearly didn't have a good experience maybe at the doctor's office, felt, you know, she had to wait long hours or that it wasn't inviting. So what I do in my clinic is very different. I try to be an inviting doctor. We were talking about that and during the break, and I try to be accessible. I try to be like, you know, almost like a family member to the patient, like really cheer them on so they can tell me anything, because you need to know, you know, what is in the mind of your patients to really help them, you know, not just what they're telling you or when they get to you, right? You really need to know, how are they thinking? When they have this chest pain, what goes through their mind? Because you want to be like, that's where I can help. If that happens, if you feel that chest pain or difficulty breathing, think heart attack, you know, and that's when you really can make a difference, because we can save your life if we know the symptoms that you're having, we can get intervention, because heart disease we can fix. We could live and we are living longer and longer lives because of bypass, because of interventions like stents. We just need patients to recognize that and intervention to be done earlier rather than later. And women, like my mom, had nausea, and that was one of the last conversations when I got back from a research trip. She had died at home. And she never had chest pain. She never had anything like that.
Wow.
All nausea.
So that's why you're big on these blood pressure machines. You mentioned that we should all get one, and it just sounded weird, but okay. You said it's not that expensive. You can get them on Amazon. Get the old-fashioned cuff kind. Don't get the digital one. Yeah. But what is a good number? Like the doctors always tell me, oh, you're great. Yay. But I don't even really pay attention because they're happy. So what are we looking for? What's good? What's bad?
Well, two things. Even if your numbers are great in the doctor's office, of course, I love that. It's still more important to know what your numbers are in your day-to-day life. We were talking about how healthcare isn't going to the doctor that 15 minutes in that whole year. It's the 99% the rest of your life where you are. So we're usually at home, at work. The numbers there for me are far more important than your number once a year in my office. So that's why it's important for you to have a machine in your home or accessible to you that is new within 2 years. After 2 years, they need to be calibrated. So every 2 years, you want to make sure you have a new great machine to check that. And a good number really, ideally, is like 110/70. But the last time many of us had that is going to be when we were in high school. A lot of times, doctors, primary doctors now are happy with like 125/80. And we don't really, we're not instructed to really medicate or intervene. I always intervene. I always think there's a way to optimize. Even today, you're telling me your numbers are fine. Check it at home. No, they're fine. And is it in the 115s on top? If not, we can see how much sodium is in our diet. We could add another 5 minutes to our walking routine.
Getting
daily.
rid of salt and doing more. That's why they call it
lifestyle.
Cardio, y'all. Mm-hmm.
These are all treatments for high blood pressure. These are treatments. Medicine just comes with a point when you're above and beyond where the time it will take for us to bring that down with diet and exercise may not be ideal, because our bodies are 24/7, even when we sleep and awake. And if you're having pressures in your system that are like 150s, 160s intermittently throughout the day for 24 hours, you're putting pressure on the arteries of your heart, the arteries of your brain. We're all worried about our memory. Well, guess what? If you bring your pressure down to normal, your memory will get better. You'll have less cognitive change as we get older. We're all worried about losing our marbles when we get older. I do geriatrics. I see seniors a lot. And I said, we got to make sure right now, the younger we are, the better, to keep our blood pressure under control, because those arteries of our brain are important, the pressure in our arteries of our heart, and then the kidneys. Those all get damaged, those organs, from high blood pressure.
Ooh, that's the body system. Everything is connected. Andrea, you keep saying that you guys learned a lot of stuff that, helped you with the second event, and then that's helping you to help your dad. Tell me some of the things you've learned.
Oh, absolutely. Just some of the items that the doctor shared. For certain, the diet and exercise were a huge part of making sure that my dad recovered from his bypass surgery. And it was interesting. He had a six artery bypass, and he was in the hospital for probably a week, a little over a week total. And what was a blessing was that the nurses would come in and, they would change shift, and one nurse would tell another about what my dad had been cared for, and the 6 artery bypass, and the new nurse would go, "Wow, you look great." So to the doctor's point about making sure that as young as possible, the diet and exercise, and then the medication is a supplement to that. So after the first incident, he changed his lifestyle, started eating healthier, removing the salt from his diet, exercising. After the second incident, after the bypass, we were out walking. It was an excellent time to just be able to slowly, carefully, safely begin walking as rehabilitation from the bypass surgery. And before you know it, we were walking 6 miles a day, 3 times a week. Six miles 3 times a week. And that helped tremendously, right? And so that leading up to the cardiac incident, he was walking. He had built up muscle. He had made sure that his heart was active. So those things, learning those things, and how we learn those things along this journey has been life-saving, literally life-saving. Just having that knowledge in our back pocket about the things that we eat, how active we are, making sure that we're listening to the doctor, we're taking our medicine, we're listening to our bodies, not only for my dad, but for both of my parents and for our family members as well, and our friends that we share it with.
Yeah, I had a really good friend, may he rest in peace. I mean, he was older, but a lot older, but he used to say, I look terrible on paper, because he had so many heart surgeries and stents, and he was in and out of the hospital. But the thing that I really admired is he went and got the Dr. Ornish book and started eating no fat and just all vegetables, and he was able to live a long time where on paper it looked like he should have been a dead man walking. And so what I learned from that is that what we do really makes a difference. I mean, what our doctors do can save our lives, but what we do every day makes a huge difference.
Yes.
I think it makes all the difference. I think doctors are limited. Honestly, I'm glad I love my profession. I like the knowledge. I think we all need a medical education. I think it's very important. But I think what we're doing on a day-to-day, what you both are doing, it is truly life-saving. And so every minute that you're on that walk, every minute that you're choosing a little bit less salt, we'll use herbs instead to season the chicken or whatnot. Those choices are the true health care, are the true commitment to keeping you healthy. So it's late when you see me, So that's why, doctor, I should be in my clinic, right? Seeing my patients. What is she doing on the radio? I want to impact early, where it really matters. I want health. I'm there for emergencies. I can tell you when you need meds and when you don't. But that's such a small proportion of a person's day, year, that I need to get on the radios. I joked the other day, I want to get on the rooftops and tell everyone, here, get all these blood pressure machines. Everybody check it today. That's where it's really going to make the most impact and truly life-saving work.
I mean, and the fact that you made such a good point that I never thought about. I'm relaxed in my doctor's office, so my blood pressure will be lower. When I go to work and I'm yelling at everybody, or they're yelling at me, or when I'm home and we're yelling at each other or faced with bills, that's when we have to check our blood pressure, because that's when we're going to be stressed out.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing with it, goes up and down. Let's talk about this walk. What's happening with the walk this weekend?
So the Heart Walk, it's the best event that the American Heart has every year. I'm so honored to chair it this year. I always thank you. I always man the blood pressure station. This year I will be helping from setup to the very last moments of it, to taking everything down. But it's really more than just a walk, right? It's a chance to stand up and really honor those who we've lost, like my mother, and celebrate survivors. We have a survivor lap. I'll be doing the survivor lap.
Wow.
And also really stand up and show we are committed. We're going to take these couple of hours with all the family we could bring, all the friends we can bring, and say, we are committed to building a healthier community, because heart disease and stroke are our number 1 and number 5 health risk for every human being listening to this. You think cancer is scary. You think this or that. Your number 1 health risk is heart disease. So we have to...
across all communities,
across
ethnic communities.
And it disproportionately affects minorities, disproportionately, even more so.
But it's a risk for everybody. Rich, poor, old, young.
Rich, poor, old, young.
And various ethnicities. And so I guess you can probably Google Heart and Stroke Walk, American Heart Association Heart Walk. I'm at www.2.heart.org. That's what I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure you could just Google it and find out. Andre, did you want to say something about the Heart Walk? This is also a way of raising money for the American Heart Association. Andre?
Well, I just appreciate the American Heart Association and all the work they do, and all the doctors that are out there. I can tell you the advances in technology and care have been fantastic over the years. My dad suffered from a heart attack and stroke when I was a kid, and just watching what he went through and the things that were done for him and the things that are done for me and my generation, if that stuff had been around when he was having his issues, he might still be alive today. I don't know. But I have seen the advances. So everybody out there, we need to support this. We need to support the American Heart Association because the work is fantastic. In the end, we all benefit from it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Andrea, did you want to add on? Because I know you have a lot of passion around this, too.
Oh, yes, definitely. I would encourage everyone to get out there, to donate to the American Heart Association. Just remember, just like the doctor said, you can be the difference between saving your loved one's life. Most of the incidents happen at home. At the Heart Walk, you will have the opportunity to put hands on blood pressure machines, get education about what do I need to do if my loved one is showing these symptoms. What are the symptoms? Hands-only CPR. They are demonstrations. You can get out there and learn how to do it and literally learn how to save your loved one's life. Have some fun. The walk around the Rose Bowl, the weather's going to be really amazing this weekend, and it is just a fun time to learn and experience and equip ourselves with the tools we need to just save one another. So get out there, please, please. Yes.
Meet some new people. All right, we're going to continue this conversation. I still got to get the latest on these new CPR techniques and where to learn so we can save our loved ones or be part of the solution at least. All that straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom? She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Okay, we're not trying to be funny. Dr. Kaloostian actually was requesting this because this is actually a life-saving song in a way. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, we were just talking about how CPR has changed over the years, and now, as she mentioned, it's called hands-only CPR. Some of us remember it being mouth-to-mouth at one point, and now we're really, really recommending just hands-only. So we're going to do the compressions of the chest, and really, this song is the perfect rhythm. And it sounds maybe slow to you, but if you try to do compressions, on, let's say, a stuffed animal, let's say, the rhythm is actually, the rate is fast. So it's about 100 to 120 pushes a minute. So it's pretty fast. Staying alive. Yeah, and you get really tired. And the reason that's important is we want you to know that, because when the adrenaline's pumping, you don't know what to do, you're calling 911, and it's your loved one at home or at work, right? You want to make sure, put them on a flat ground, not on a bed, right, on the flat ground, and you want to go that fast. And the reason is, I know this may be gruesome to think about, but really just bear with me. You want that heart, which is like 2 inches below the sternum, in the chest, 2 inches down, you want that heart to get squeezed from your compressions.
So it's got to be hard.
2 inches, which means, yes, you will hear a crack of the ribs. Yes, I remember my husband turning around because I had him continue, and he turned around and looked at me when it was his dad, my father-in-law, and he looked at me, he goes, "I'm breaking the ribs." I said, "Yes, exactly," because I had already started, and then he took over, and it's okay to shift. Hopefully you're there with 2 people, but you want to get under that rib cage and squeeze 2 inches down to that rhythm. So it's fast. So it does get tiring. And I just want us to know that, sorry if it gets a little graphic, but that's because the blood gets squeezed and pushed to the brain. What we want is we can survive the heart attack, cardiac arrest, but will the brain survive?
Right. So a cracked rib is better than brain damage, is what we have to tell ourselves.
Yes.
So it sounds like I'm reading on the website, you got to push hard. You need to be in that disco rhythm of staying alive. Yes. And if there's a lot of stuff, if they're wearing a vest or something crazy, you might have to take it off. Yeah. Well, and one of the things I saw here that I did not realize is that we don't have to be scared. Because I always thought, I might break something and then it would be terrible. We're more likely, the most important thing is to do it right away.
Do it right away and do it accurately. So push hard, and the hope is you will almost see that he comes back too. Right. Because he's circulating the brain, so the consciousness actually comes a little bit back, but you have to continue until you get the defibrillator. A lot of us maybe don't have a defibrillator at our home, has a defibrillator, right. But I'm working to get them in all the schools. We're working with the funds we collect to really, as he had mentioned, the work that the American Heart does affects our generation. Right. The funds we raise and the advancements, it's not for future. It's for you and I, right all now, of us listening. Yeah. This is one of the best organizations I've ever worked with, that I could see it translate year to year. And so it's a good place if you have an extra few dollars to contribute. It goes
and
a
if
long
you
way.
want to go in the walk or raise money by walking, heartwalkla.org is the correct website, heartwalkla.org. But good to know, you don't have to do mouth to mouth. You don't have to put your mouth on a stranger. You don't have to be scared. What you do have to do is do it hard, do it right away, and do it fast.
Yes.
And those are things I didn't know. So we learned something that could save somebody's life. And it also says here, don't wait till you get a certification. If you see someone laid out, don't be afraid to move them, turn them over, get them flat, and start pumping.
Call 911 and start pumping. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Until the paramedics
EMS
get
comes,
there. Yeah.
And they defibrillate. And
Yeah. Well, we're out of time. I thank you so much, Dr. Carolyn Kaloostian, for coming in. And I thank you, Andre Moore and Andrea, for sharing your story with us. Amazing. It really means a lot and makes a difference.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. We need to know it's not somebody else. It's not somewhere far away. It could be you, could be your loved one, could be your mom, just like what Dr. Kaloostian suffered. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, American Heart Association, for the work that you're doing. Happy Monday, y'all. As you know, Tavis Smiley, the birthday person, will be up next. He's got an incredible show on deck for you today, so you want to keep it locked right here. Please tap in with me on social media. I could use some happy comments to counteract the other ones that are up there. Find me at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio, or at KBLA 1580. That's KBLA 1580 on all social media platforms. Like my mama, the late, great Diane DiPrima, used to say, history is now, like I always say, we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio visited Israel to discuss the war in Gaza and reaffirm U.S. support for Israeli security.
How do you provide security? How do you make sure Hamas or anything